To federal politics, and tax on cigarettes will raise an additional $5 billion for the federal government over the next 4 years. Treasurer Chris Bowen has today confirmed the increase in tobacco excise and argues it will deter thousands more people not to smoke. The coalition believes it's more about an increasing budget hole than people's health.
In Kevin Rudd's first stint as Prime Minister back in 2010, the tobacco excise was increased by 25%. The Treasurer argues that led to an 11% drop in smoking rates, and he says more can be encouraged to kick the habit.
I've seen figures in the vicinity of 200,000 people from smoking in Australia, and particularly important to stop young people smoking, taking up the habit for the first time.
The cigarette tax will be one of the biggest revenue measures in the government's pre-election economic statement expected to be released tomorrow. But the Treasurer maintains there's a health principle underpinning it.
The World Health Organisation recommends that 70% of the retail price of a packet of cigarettes should be taxed. We're way below that in Australia.
The coalition believes it's a revenue grab.
I don't like it. I want to see the detail of it. It's not motivated about better health policies. It is solely about fixing the budget crisis.
Joe Hockey says despite the moral indignation of non-smokers, this further tax hike will hit the low-paid the hardest.
For pensioners, for low-income people, this tax increase is going to have a far bigger impact on their everyday budget.
And tobacco kills low-income earners the most. Is that fair?
The government's turned its attention through new ads to coalition donations from Big Tobacco.
They are in the pockets of Big Tobacco, accepting millions of dollars of donations. But when it comes to the crunch, are they really going to reverse this measure?
Well, Kevin Rudd took a donation from a cigarette machine manufacturer, to go to Germany just a couple of years ago. He's a complete hypocrite on this.
The Labor government's shown it's not shy in picking fights with Big Tobacco, as we saw in the battle over plain packaging laws. And the industry's clearly not happy with this latest move either. A statement from a spokesman for Philip Morris says Prime Minister Rudd is again punishing smokers because the Labor government's lost control of the federal budget. Kieran Gilbert, Sky News, Canberra.
Let's go to Canberra now. Sky News political reporter Laura Jay is joining us. And Laura, are there any other hints on what the government might cut?
Well, look, this tobacco excise will be the biggest savings or revenue-raising measure in the economic statement we believe to come tomorrow. But there is also a hint that perhaps the government is looking at a levy on bank deposits. There's a story in the Australian Financial Review today by the chief political correspondent, Phil Curry, that today Chris Bowen, the Treasurer, is consulting with the Australian Banking Association and looking at a deposit insurance levy that was recommended by the Council of Financial Regulators. What we'll also see with this is a levy of between 0.5% and 1% on protected deposits of up to $100,000. It's not exactly sure how much that would raise over time, but still, Chris Bowen was asked about this. He didn't confirm it. Tony Abbott was also asked about the two measures today, the tobacco excise and a possible levy on banks. He says both of them are just revenue-raising measures. Take a look.
This is a government which can't control its spending. And because it can't control its spending, whenever it gets into trouble, it hits you, the Australian people, with more taxes. And all of these, whether it's a bank deposit tax, whether it's an increase in cigarette tax, it's all a hit on you, the people.
Tony Abbott a little earlier, and when you look at the tobacco excise, this is something that Kevin Rudd has looked to and the Labor Party has looked to over the last 6 years of Labor government. Some of the cigarette companies point out that since Kevin Rudd has been Prime Minister and Labor has been in power, the excise on cigarettes has gone up by something like 163%. So just another bit of information there for you, but all will be confirmed in the economic statement, and that is expected to come tomorrow.